Hi, this video will demonstrate how to create moving platforms in Unity. Some of the previous videos we set up our player movement and then we created some platforms so that way I can jump, I can interact, stand on top of a platform, I can use W, actually A and D and the space bar to create like a side-scrolling platformer type game. And this video we're going to talk about how to create like a moving platform this time. Okay, so we're going to start off by taking one of our platforms which we have converted into a prefab. I'm going to take one that is already in my level and I'm going to hit Control D to duplicate it. Okay. I'm actually going to take this outside of my platforms by clicking and dragging it back to where it says sample scene, so that way it's not underneath my platforms layer. I'm also going to take these individual platforms and in the inspector hit this checkbox right here, which turns them off so that they're not going to be visible when playing the game. So let's take our platform that we have created, and we already have our box collider on there. We want to make sure that stays on there, and I want to make this so it's not a instance of my prefab. I want to create a new prefab at the end of this. I'm going to right click on that platform that I've duplicated and choose prefab, unpack completely. There you go. That makes it an individual object again. That keeps everything that was set up before now, but it makes it an individual object and not a part of this prefab instance. So you can see it's not blue anymore. Alright, so we're going to rename this. We're going to call this, let's see, platform for moving. Alright, so the other thing we want to do before we do anything else is take our platform for moving and reset the transforms. Let's put a value of 0 for position X and 0 for position Y. Puts it right back to the center of the screen. Okay, so we renamed it. We make sure our box collider's on there. Put it back in the 0 of the screen. Box collider's still there. So we're going to create a couple other empty objects. So for a moving platform, there's a lot of different ways we can make a platform move around. But what we want to do is have this platform kind of bounce between two kind of horizontal positions. So we want to kind of bounce back and forth like this. So to do that, we're going to create some empty objects that we're going to then use in the code to say, if it reaches the point of this empty object, move back the other way. So this is going to be the horizontal moving platform, and then we'll come back and talk about a vertical moving platform. In the hierarchy tab, I'm going to click the plus symbol, create empty, and we'll call this one H for horizontal point A, so H underscore point A. Okay, we're going to make sure we go to the transforms for this object and do reset, so it's at the center. And then let's put a position of 3. There you go. So maybe we'll do a little bit more. We'll do 4. There you go. So 4. So that's 4 units away from the center of the composition, which is also the center of the platform. Now, one thing you note is that there's no visual icon for a game empty object. If I click off of it, there's no way I can visually select it right now. So one thing I can do is select that empty object, and to the left of the checkbox, which is the display in game mode button, is a wireframe box. I'll left click on that. This is the select icon option, and this will give us a visual icon that we can select in the scene. It doesn't show up to the player, but it's an option for us as a developer to be able to see what kind of icon and where this is for this object. So we can select whatever we want here, one that has a name on it, one that doesn't have a name on it. Let's just do one that has the name on it, and we'll do a green. Or we might just do just a dot, right, whichever one. We don't really need to see the name of it, we just want to see the position. So let's just do a dot or a diamond. Okay, either one. So we're just adding an icon to this H.A object so that now I can visually click on this object in the scene. It doesn't show up to the player, it just shows up to the developer in the scene mode. Okay, so we've got one point. We want to have another point on the opposite side that determines how far to go on the left side of the screen versus the right side of the screen. So let's hit Control D to duplicate, and we will rename this one B, and then we're going to put a -4 for the position X. So that puts it the same distance on the opposite side. Now the position can be changed later. We just want an initial position. So we could also have later on platforms that move wider or shorter distances, but this is going to be our kind of prefab that we can adjust later. So right now we have a platform for moving. That's our platform with a box collider, and then we have two empty game objects that are called point A and point B. We're going to create another game object, and this is going to be another empty game object. And we're going to call this one moving underscore H for horizontal underscore platform. So moving H platform. That way I know this is my horizontal versus anything else. I'm going to take that empty object and reset the transforms. Make sure that's back at the center. And then I'm going to take my platform for moving object and my 2 points and left click and drag them underneath that new empty game object called moving H platform. If I also wanted to do a icon for this as well, I could do that also. But my visual for my platform will be there, so I really don't need this another icon there. So basically this means I can take that moving platform and move it around. Okay. Or I can go into my individual objects and move them around. Okay. So that's an easy way to kind of move these around, make it into a prefab later, but we'll do that at the end part of the video. Alright, so that's our hierarchy, how we're going to set that up. Now we need a script to be able to move the platform in the scene. So in our scripts panel down here, we're going to right click. I'm going to choose Create C# Script. And we'll call this one Moving Platform Horizontal. So make sure we know this is the horizontal moving platform. Alright, our script is created. Let's make sure we go back and select our platform for moving and add our moving platform script as a component. So let's go ahead and set up there. With this moving platform, I'm also going to change the color so I can know this is going to be my horizontal one. So let's use that green value again. So that way we know that green is going to be horizontal, and we'll do a different color for vertical. There you go. Alright, so now we're ready to go edit our script and add our actions so that we can allow this platform to move side to side according to our points. So we're going to use Visual Studio Code for that, and then here's my moving platform horizontal script. This is not a lengthy script. There's a couple of lines that we're going to add. We need a couple of floats. And these are all going to be public floats that we can adjust in Unity. So the first one is going to be public, and we're going to do a transform. And these are going to be so we can connect those point A and point B game objects to our script here. So we're going to do transform point A, comma, point B. That'll give us two different lines that we can drag in, point A and point B. Right, in that line with a semicolon. And then we're going to do public again. This one's going to be a float, and we need a speed variable. So speed semicolon. This is going to allow us in Unity to adjust how fast the platform is moving. Public float speed. The last one is going to be a boolean, public bool, and we're going to call this one move right, semicolon at the end. So basically we need to determine if the platform is moving right or left, and if it's starting to move right or left. Okay. So when this is checked, the platform will move to the right to begin with. When this is unchecked, the platform will move to the left to begin with. All right. So we're actually going to not use anything for void start, and we're not going to use void update, but we will use void fixed update. When we're adjusting the movement of a platform like this, we want to use fixed update. All right, so in fixed update, we need to have a couple of if statements. And these if statements mean if the bool of move right is true or checked, then allow this platform to move right. If it is not checked, then allow it to move it left. So in void fixed update, in the curly brackets, we're going to do if move right equals equals, which means it equals true, then do something. So if move right is checked true. It's actually, oh, it added that extra stuff, so we will just type in true here. If true, and that, and then we will do curly bracket. There we go. So if move right equals true, then we need to figure out what to do. So we want to transform this object in the horizontal axis. If we go back to Unity for a second, we can't just use 2 vector. We have to use a 3 vector because we have 3 values, x, y, and z. We're going to get this transform component and the position component underneath that. So we need a vector 3 that we're going to save the time to, and then we're going to multiply that by the speed variable that we're going to adjust in Unity. So this one's going to be transform dot position, and this is going to be plus or equals to new vector 3, which will be our 3 x, y, and z values. And then we're going to do open and close parentheses, and then within that parentheses we're going to do our speed variable times time dot delta time. That'll create a smoother motion. If we just do time dot time, it'll create kind of a choppy kind of motion depending on a whole bunch of other features or conditions. So this is going to be for the x value. So basically, if I roll this back, we need vector 3, so we're really going to have 0, 0, and 0. We're going to have 3 values. The first one is going to be x, the second one's going to be y, the third one's going to be z. X is going to be the horizontal, y is going to be the vertical axis. So for this one, we want to remove that 0 and do what our speed value is going to be, asterisk, which is times, and then time dot delta time. There you go. So just for the horizontal x position, we're going to do speed times time dot delta time. So that's if move right is checked true. We also need an else statement or if else or else if statement if we have secondary actions that we want to happen. But this is a bool, so it's either true or untrue. So we're going to do just one else statement. So else, we'll return down and we'll open up and close our curly brackets. So top line is if it's move right is true, then move towards the right. Okay, positive value will move towards this side of the screen. Negative value will move to this side of the screen. So in this one, we're going to repeat the same action. We're going to do transform dot position. And this time we're going to do minus or equals to. Minus or equals to. Okay. And we're going to repeat new vector 3. And we'll do the same thing we did up there. Speed times time dot delta time, comma 0, comma 0. Okay. So this means if move right is not true, as in we want it to move left, then move the object to the left. All right, and with this script, it's going to move the self, so it's going to move the platform because this script is added to the platform. Let's go ahead and save. And let's go to our Unity screen and hit play. Let's watch. Got some errors. I'm expecting a semicolon on line 22. So let's compile and see line 22 does not have one, and the same thing for 26. So we need a semicolon at the end. Semicolon at the end of our else statement. Now let's save. Go into Unity. Let's see. So it says time does not contain a definition for delta time. Okay. Make sure we got it spelled correctly. Okay. Oh, it says delta. Okay. Delta. There you go. D-E-L-T-A. There you go. All right, let's save. Go back in. See if we got any other errors. All right, that looks good. Okay, so then now we go play. Let's see what happens. It doesn't look like anything is happening right now because we need to change the speed. Yep. All right, so let's hit pause and go to our platform for moving horizontal, and then let's add a speed. So let's just do something low like 2, and then we're going to choose checkbox to move right. We're not going to worry about point A and point B right now. All right, so change the speed, checkbox, move right. Let's play. There you go. So now the platform is going to continue to move towards the right. Let's turn this off and let's uncheck move right and check the else statement. Now the platform should move towards the left. There you go, moves towards the left. And it's continue moving. So what we really need to do is tell it to stop moving towards the left when it reaches this point, and then stop moving towards the right when it reaches this point. So let's check box move right again. Let's go ahead and hit Control S in Unity to save. So we need the positional data for these 2 points. That's why we created them. All right. So underneath our if and else statement, we're going to create 2 more if statements. So underneath that, we're going to do if transform position dot x. We need the horizontal position of this platform. So it's going to be if statement that determines if our platform has reached to the point of point A or point B. So this statement is going to say if transform.position.x is less than or equal to point A position.x. We want to make sure we're just looking at the x position. And we're going to reference our point A, which we'll add to here in a minute. If our platform's position x is less than or equal to point A's position or x, position.x, let's open up our curly brackets. Then set move right to equals to true, semicolon. All right, so that'll take care of if our platform can move towards the right. And then now we need to do another if statement that will check if it is moving towards the left. So if, same idea, transform.position.x is greater than or equal to, it's the angle bracket, point B position.x. This is the second public variable we're adding. Add our open curly brackets. Move right equals false, and semicolon. All right, so we added 2 additional if statements that will check to see if the platform has reached position A or has reached position B, and then turn it around to the opposite way. So let's hit Control S to save. Let's go back into Unity. All right, we don't have any errors. So now let's watch. So our default should be move right, and we need to add our point A and point B objects to our script. So let's drag H point A into the point A, and H point B into point B. There you go. Let's save, Control S, and let's play. Okay. All right, so I think it is backwards here, so let's stop this and uncheck it, and then let's play again. There you go. Actually, it's stopping there, so we may have our script backwards here. Let's see, which one's point A? That one's point A, and that one's point B. All right, so let's go into our script, and what we need to change is just flip-flop these values. It depends on which one in Unity. If this is point A or this is point A, all right, so it doesn't really matter, but just need to reference it, and we need to switch this to point B first. If point B is less than, or if the platform transition is less than point B, then move right is true. If the position is greater than point A, then move right is set to false, so it'll move left. All right, so let's switch those, point B first, point A second. Control S, and then we will go back in and play. There you go. So it's move left, and it'll bounce back and move right. See if it checks it on the right side. Move right. There you go. All right, let's go back and let's test it with move right on. I think move right was off just then. So it should move right first, bounce back, move left, and bounce back. Here we go, that works. So now we can come in and kind of increase our speed. If I wanted to do 10 and hit play, the platform's going to move a lot faster now. There you go, so that's a lot faster. But for the player to be able to jump on top of it, we might as well just put it down to 2. have a slower moving platform. All right, so that'll work. But if we take a look at it, watch what happens to the player as the platform is moving. The player will fall down and collide with it, but the player is not going to move with the platform. So it's just going to stay stationary. What I really need to do is give the option so that the player can move with that moving platform. Alright, so once again we can test this. What I actually need to do is turn on my ground platform down here, so that way I can have a means to jump if I need to. And then we can take our moving platform and just move it down some so that the player can jump on it even when it's tossed off. So I just moved it down temporarily, the moving H platform hierarchy node. So if I hit play, the player will fall off the platform. So I can jump on the platform, but the player kind of stays still. It's not going to move with the platform. So we want to give the option so the player can move with the platform. Right now, the platform will just move the player around as far as the collision of the box, but it won't carry the player with it. Okay, so we're going to fix or correct the script for the player in order to allow the player to move with the platform. Alright, so we're not going to do anything adjustments right now to the platform, but we're going to go into our player movement platformer script and make a couple adjustments here. Okay, so right underneath void update, we're going to add an on collision function that gives the option to see when the player is colliding with another object. So what we need to test for is if the player is colliding with an object, then do something. And what we want to do is create a simple parent temporarily. We don't want to parent the player to the moving platform right now. We only want to parent the player to the moving platform when the player is in contact with the platform. All right. So this is going to use an on collision function. So we're going to do void on collision, and we're going to do first an enter 2D. So basically, when the player enters collision with another object, do this command. We're going to do parentheses, and we need to tell it what kind of collider. So we're going to do collision 2D, and we're going to choose other, which means when this player collides with another object that we determine which object that is here in a second, then parent the object. Okay, so we're going to return collision 2D. Let's get rid of all that extra stuff it added, and we'll do other. There we go. All right, so in our void on collision enter 2D with parentheses collision 2D space other, we're going to do an if statement. And basically we want to see if this object is going to collide with the platform. And how we're going to do that is we're going to create a tag. So we've talked about sorting layers and layers, and this is another way to see if an object is in connection with something else. So we're going to use a tag. So to do this, we're going to say if other dot game, capital OBJECT for object, so game object, other dot game object, dot compare tag, compare and tag are capitalized. And then we're going to do open parentheses and then open quotations. And this is what we're going to be naming our tag. So we're going to be naming our tag in Unity moving platform. And then we're going to end that with in quotations and then two parentheses. So basically, if the other object's name, compare tag name, is set to moving platform, then we're going to open up curly brackets, and then we're going to say this, as in this object, the player object, dot transform dot parent equals other dot game object dot transform. In that with a semicolon. So basically what this is going to do is on the player colliding with another object, and it says if this other object's or compare tag is moving platform, then parent the player to this other game object, which will be our platform. We're not done because we also need to create an on-exit collision, so that way when the player leaves the collision of the platform, then unparent the object. Because this is a temporary parent to the platform. So we want to unparent when we're ready to move away from this object. So the second one is going to be a void on collision exit 2D. Pretty much the same exact setup we did earlier, but this is exit 2D instead of enter 2D. Open up parentheses, collision 2D other. And I'm just going to use my arrows to move down. And we're going to open and close a curly bracket. And then we're going to repeat if parentheses other.gameObject.compare tag, open parentheses, open quotations, moving platform. Close quotations, then close two parentheses. And then we're going to open up another set of curly brackets and indent it in. And we're going to repeat this dot transform dot parent, and we don't want to parent it to someone else. We just want to unparent. And if we want to void or remove out a command, then we're just going to type in null, N-U-L-L, and then semicolon. So basically that will null the parent that we did earlier. Okay, let's save. Basically the first one, void on collision enter 2D, is going to say if another object's tag is set to move in platform, then parent this player to that other object. If we exit the collision with that other object and this game object's tag is set to move in platform, then unparent. All right, so we save. Let's go into Unity. Make sure we don't have any errors. All right, looks like we're good. Okay, so what we can do is we could actually do the platform for moving as our tag, but we're going to have a scale issue with how the hierarchy is set up. And I can show you that, and we'll correct that here in a second. Let's go ahead with the platform for moving and go to tag underneath the inspector. And we're going to go to add tag. And you may or may not have any tags up here. I've got one called pickup. We're going to add a new one, and we're going to call this one what we titled the other one in the script, moving platform. So that needs to be spelled exactly how this is spelled right here for moving platform. Okay. So let's go back and we'll add it, moving platform, and do save. Back in our platform for moving object, we're going to add that moving platform tag to this one. All right. So now let's hit Control S to save in Unity, and when we play, see what happens. All right, so our player moves with the platform when the platform is moving, and when they have the connect or collision there. Let's hit spacebar to jump off of it. It's no longer parented, and I can hit spacebar to jump back on it, and it'll parent it underneath. And I know that if I open up my hierarchy over here, my player is parented underneath my platform for moving. I click back in here and jump off. My player gets unparented back to the basic scene. There you go. So it's back underneath. Jump off. It's there. So there's an issue though. If I go to the edge and slowly slide off, look at that. See how it scales it? Let's do it again. And what is actually happening is it's stretching the cube every time I do this. So if I continue to do it, that's no longer a cube. It's elongated now. So due to the hierarchy of transition parenting, that's causing an issue in the way it's scaled. So there's one quick fix to that, and that's to create another empty game object and parent that underneath our platform for moving. So from a platform for moving, I'm going to remove that tag that we just created. The tag's created, I'm just going to remove its connection to this particular object, so untag that. I'm going to come into my hierarchy and create empty. And I'm going to name this platform, spell it all correctly, platform parent base. Okay. And before I do anything else, I want to make sure I zero this out, reset. And I do want to create a box collision for this. Okay, but before I do that, I want to click platform parent base and drag that underneath the platform for moving object. So my new GameEmpty object is a platform parent base, and I parented that underneath my platform for moving object. Let's just, for the sake of seeing it, let's add a icon. So we'll do a diamond icon, and then let's move it down so it's on top of this one. There you go. Let's just do 0 to even it back out, and let's add a box collider 2D to this game object. All right, there we go. So let's put our scale back to 1 because it's inheriting the scale of the moving platform. That's 3 times wide. There we go. So that should put the box collision back at the size of my moving platform. But with this hierarchy change of this empty game object is parented underneath the platform for moving with a box collider on there, let's do a tag, and let's add our moving platform tag to the platform parent base. So now if I zoom back out and hit play, now we're not going to have that scale issue anymore. So if I jump on and off, it's still going to work how I want it to. But if I roll to the side, whoa, I don't think this is set properly. So make sure here. Platform for moving platform. That might need to be, oh, I know the problem is because our scale is not right. We don't need to do the scale. Let's see, that was like 0.33, something like that. And we're going to change the size in the box collider. So the X size, we're going to scale that out. And we'll zoom in to make sure. Let's do 3 there. That'll work. Yeah, that's right. So this way we're not going to increase the scale of the transform, but in the box collider we're going to scale out the size of the box collider. There you go. Now when we hit play, I'll roll over to the side. It's not going to reduce or scale the cube weirdly when it rolls over the side. There you go. Now that's not a perfect fix, but this is a hierarchy change that we can create that will allow the player to move around with the platform, but still have its independent motion. Alright, so that'll wrap up this video of how to create a move-in platform. Next video we'll come back and do a vertical platform variation of this, and then we will talk about how to create prefabs with all of these.